Hi folks, Chuck's here. Folding devices like the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4 brings excitement to the dull smartphone market. If you just bought the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4 or thinking about buying one and wondering what's special about these devices, I'm going to show you some of the unique features that I use in the Z Fold 4 that you don't traditionally get in your smartphones. And probably those are the reasons why you should get the Z Fold 4. This Z Fold 4 is not my first folding device. I had the Z Fold 2, Z Fold 3, and now I upgraded to Z Fold 4. So in these past 2 years, I've learned a few things here and there to how to effectively use these folding devices to get the best out of them. And not to mention, Samsung has packed a lot of features in this device to make it more useful. So let's go look at what those features are. So where do we start? Of course, with the home screen. You can set up different wallpapers for the cover screen and the main screen, as well as have a different home screen layout for both of these screens as well. To set up the wallpaper, all you have to do is tap and hold the home screen and then tap on wallpaper and style. And here you can set wallpapers from your gallery or from the Samsung downloaded wallpapers. And if you go into gallery, let's select a wallpaper here. And when I set this wallpaper now, since I am doing this on my cover screen, this wallpaper will be applied on my cover screen, but it wouldn't get applied on the main screen. You can still see I have the previous wallpaper. You can configure your home screen grid size, which is going to help you lay out apps and widgets on your home screen. To do that, tap and hold on the home screen, tap on settings, and then you have the home screen grid. Here you can specify how many rows and columns you want for your home screen layout. Now of course the main screen is bigger than the cover screen, so you get more options here, the maximum of 6 rows and 5 columns, and I've selected that to get the most out of my home screen layout in the main screen. Now if you don't want to have different setup for your cover screen and your main screen, and you want to continue having the same setup you have on your cover screen in your main screen as well, you can configure that. If you tap and hold on the home screen and tap on settings, that will take you to home screen settings, and you have the option cover screen mirroring. When you enable this, now this will use the same layout that you have on your cover screen on the main screen as well. So you don't have a different screen, you'll just have the same screen with the same icons and same apps and same widgets. Let's do that here. So now you can see I have one home screen page on my cover screen, and just for fun, let's add another page, and let's quickly add a widget here. Let's add a smart widget to my home screen here, and then that's going to be added here in my second page on my cover screen. Now since we enabled cover screen mirroring, now if you unfold and look at your main screen layout, you will see the exact cover screen layout available here, except the first half, the left portion of your phone, having the first page on the cover screen, and the second half of your phone, which is on the right side, has the second page. And that's how it will group the pages on the left and on the right, and this will have the same apps, widgets, and all the setup you have on the home screen layout. But still, the wallpaper is different. The wallpaper customization is specific to the cover screen and the main screen. Now of course, if you don't want this and you want to go back to your previous setup, you can do the same. Tap and hold on the home screen, tap on settings, go to cover screen mirroring and turn it off. And once you apply, it will restore the previous main screen setup that you had before turning on the cover screen mirroring, so you don't lose everything. You will get back your previous state. Pretty cool, right? So many options to look at how you want to customize your main screen and cover screen experiences here. Next up is continuing apps on the cover screen. Now, for a folding phone, when you're using an app on the cover screen, right, the biggest selling point for a folding phone is you can go from this layout, which is a narrow screen, to a big immersive tablet-like experience and continue the app on the main screen. What if in some instances you want to close your phone and have the app continue on the cover screen? Well, you can set that up per app. Here is how you can do it. Go to your settings, go to display, scroll down and tap on continue apps on cover screen. Here, search for the app. Let's search for Twitter, and I'm going to enable this option for the Twitter app. So now what happens is I'm browsing my Twitter app on my cover screen. I'm going to unfold. I'm browsing my Twitter app on the main screen now, and once I fold my phone, the app will continue on the cover screen. So it's a nice setup for apps that you want to continue on the cover screen and keep working. But if you enable it for all apps, make sure you know that option, because the only way now you can lock your phone is tap on the power button. Next option is the Edge panel. Edge panel is an easy way to access some of your favorite apps or shortcuts from the edge of your screen. Now this works both in main screen and on the cover screen. But you have the option to have this Edge panel show up in either of the screens or both the screens. To enable the Edge panel, you go into settings, tap on display, and when you scroll down, you will see the option for Edge panels. Here you can turn on the Edge panels, and you can configure what panels you want. Here I have configured the app and task panel, and I can also configure how I want the behavior of the handle to be. So I can move the handle and place in the right desired position I want. I can choose the color, the transparency, so I can customize it to my needs. And I can also have the option to show the Edge handle on the main and cover screens, main screen or the cover screen. Now I've chosen main screen because most of the time I'm using my Z Fold 4 on the main screen. Of course I use the cover screen as well, but my problem is once you put a case on the cover screen, that will make it difficult to swipe from the edge. I didn't quite get the need of using all the apps on the narrow screen here anyway. So this was kind of a quick and dirty way to look at some updates or browse some tweets. But once I'm doing real work, I am on the main screen. So that's why I find having my app shortcuts and the task, everything here on the main screen and not on my cover screen. So that's how I have configured the Edge panel in my Z Fold 4. And in fact, I love the Edge panel because it helps me clear all the clutter on my home screen, right? I love beautiful wallpapers like one I have here, and mostly I will have a weather widget, and then I have a Google search bar widget, and then the dock. So the dock will house all of the most used apps, right? And the Edge panel will have all of the frequently used apps. And if I want to have access to more apps, of course I have the app library or search and things like that to access. But that is kind of my home screen setup I have in my Z Fold 4. Next up is the taskbar. This is something new for the Z Fold 4. It will of course be available for Z Fold 3 with the software update, but Z Fold 4 comes with a taskbar when you are working with your apps on the main screen. So the taskbar basically brings the favorite icons from your dock, and also if we have recent apps, it would show up here as well. And the idea is really simple. You get all of your favorite apps here, and you can just switch back and forth between those apps just by tapping the app icons on the taskbar. So you don't have to go to your home screen or try some other gesture. And if you want to open any other app without leaving this app, you can just tap on the All Apps icon and then browse for that app and then open it right here. So to configure this taskbar, I can go into my settings, tap on display, scroll down, and you will find the option to enable or disable the taskbar. So here I have enabled the taskbar, and I've also enabled the option to show recent apps, and also a nice little option to show and hide with touch and hold. This touch and hold is only available when you're using the gesture navigation. So that's what I'm using right here as my navigation type. And here is how it works. At the bottom of my screen where the taskbar is, I can touch and hold for a few seconds and the taskbar disappears. And if I do the same at the bottom of my screen, the taskbar appears. Now, of course, if you go back into your display settings and configure the navigation bar to buttons, you can't show or hide the taskbar. The taskbar is always visible with the navigation buttons. Now, that's a nice segue to multitasking. Multitasking is using multiple apps at once. And here's a recent use case that I stumbled upon where I think the multiple app scenario worked really well with my Z Fold 4. So I've been browsing what national park to visit next year, and Utah seems to be a good place to visit with Arches National Park and many other nearby national parks within the region. So when I was browsing the park and I was looking at what I can do in the park, the things to see, and I was looking at directions and transportation, and it said, it's just 5 miles north of Moab. Like, oh, so great. So I can actually stay in Moab and figure out what I can do there. So I went into my internet browser and, found the site discovermoab.com and got all the details. But now I lost what I really wanted to do in the national park because that app is no longer here. So what I did was I dragged the national park app from my taskbar, and I was able to drop in one of these drop zones, either side by side or top or bottom. So I dropped here, and now you can see that I have the national park app here, and I can browse the national park, what I want to do here, and things I want to plan. At the same time, I can look information about lodging and campgrounds and services, all the things available in the Moab city, so I can plan accordingly. Really neat way to have the multitasking scenario work for you, right? And not just like browsing Twitter on one side and browsing Instagram on the other side. No, that doesn't help. That's just doom scrolling, so don't do that. So yeah, of course, this is not something you'd be using every day, but when you do want to use it, this becomes very useful feature to use. Now, of course, here is the window divider right in the middle, and you can tap on the 3 dots and you will get more options. You can switch the app positions, right? You can also hold on to that app bar on the top here and move to different positions. That's also possible, right? And if you tap on the divider, you will get the option to add app pair, which is this combination of apps that you're using here, the shortcut on the taskbar home screen or apps edge panel. I'm going to tap apps edge panel. So now what happens is if I look at my edge panel, you will see I have that combination here added, which is the National Park app and the Internet app. So one other thing here is that if you go to your recent apps, you will notice that the app combination is available on the recent app list. It's no longer 2 individual apps, it's rather the app pair. Now, of course, I can close that app pair, and if I want to open that app pair again, I can swipe on my edge panel because we just added that shortcut, and then that will open those apps together, which is neat. So now I'm back in my place where I'm going to find more information about the park and browse the city info so I can make my plan. Now, of course, if you notice at the bottom, you don't have the taskbar. The taskbar is not visible anymore. And because we use the gesture navigation, there's no navigation bar here as well. To bring up the taskbar, I can just swipe slowly from the bottom of the screen and I get the taskbar visible for a few seconds and then it hides. I can add a third app into this mix and have 3 apps that I can work with. So for example, I can drag and drop Twitter on either the top half or the bottom half, right? So now I have 3 apps I'm browsing. And of course now I can go and search for Arches National Park in Twitter and find information and do things about that. And of course, if I want to close this Twitter app, I can tap on the app bar and then close Twitter. Really simple, right? And that's the multitasking feature you get in your Z Fold 4. In fact, this works for Z Fold 3, Z Fold 2, even it works in S22 Ultra, right? But this feature makes sense in a bigger device like the Z Fold 4 than the smaller device, the S22 Ultra. It's insane how we think S22 Ultra is smaller just for the fact that when compared with the Z Fold 4. So this is the multi-window mode. You have the ability to have 3 apps at once. There's another option here for multitasking, which is called pop-up view. Drag and drop Twitter app to open, right? So I can either open up as a third app, or I can completely replace one of the apps I have here. Or if I drag it to the divider, I get the option to open the app in pop-up view. This gives a floating window, right? I can use this app in a floating window, and I can move this app anywhere on the screen without affecting the apps behind it. So it's actually overlaid on top of the other apps. I can even increase this window size of this app. So I can move it around here and then look at the info and look at the app here and compare things, right? It's really intuitive now. Of course, it's hiding that app behind, but that's fine. I'm going to use this for few seconds or few minutes, and then if I tap on the app bar, I can actually close the app. But the cool thing you can do here with the app bar is minimize the app. And now that app goes to something called app tray. Of course, right now, Twitter is the only app that I have opened up, and so the only app that I can bring back into the pop-up view is the Twitter app. Again, I can tap on the app bar and minimize it. So let's open another app like YouTube and do the same. Open it up in pop-up view. And here it is. I'm going to increase the size of this YouTube app. And now I'm going to minimize the YouTube app, and it goes into the app tray. So now let's go to home screen. And now if you tap the app tray, you get 2 apps that we just minimized into the pop-up view app tray, which is the Twitter app and the YouTube app. And now I can tap on the Twitter app to open the Twitter app, and then tap on YouTube to open the YouTube app. So it's just another easy and quick way to use multi-window floating apps on your Z Fold 4, right? Now, I personally haven't had a use of it unless it is like something I want to check on my passwords from my password application, or quickly take a note, right? So those are the times that the pop-up view is very useful. In fact, if you're taking a quick note task, for example, here's create note, that will open the notes app in the pop-up view, and you can always have it minimized, right? And anytime, anywhere in your browsing your apps and you want to take a note quickly, you got that note app open, right? And that's the, one of the use cases of the pop-up view. Hey, hope you're enjoying the tips. In the next few weeks, I'll also be publishing videos on how to make most out of the Z Fold 4 with note-taking, photography, and so on. Also, we'll have videos on Z Flip 4 and the Galaxy Watch 5 Pro. Awesome lineup from Samsung. So make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit that bell button so you get a notification when videos go live on my channel. Now, back to the tips. Now, there are few things you can configure to make the multi-window experience seamless or much easier to get to. If you go into your settings, and if you go into advanced features, and if you tap on labs, you have few options here. There's an option that enables multi-window for all apps. Of course, some apps do not support pop-up view or split screen. So if you enable this option, Samsung will try its best to have those apps support multi-window. Now, full screen in split screen view, that's the option where you saw that both the apps take up the full screen without having the app bar visible. So if I disable this option and go back to my app bar, you can see it's not full screen anymore. There is the taskbar at the bottom, right? But if I go back to my advanced features here, labs, and enable the full screen, you will no longer have the taskbar. You'll get the full screen to use. There is this option here, show multi-window menu with one window. So this is another way to launch the split screen view, right? If I have this option now, you can see there is the multi-window menu, which is kind of the app bar. And if I tap on that, I get options to start a split screen view, the first button here, and I can open another app, right? Now let's go back to single app here on the settings. I can also open this app in pop-up view. right? So now this app, whatever I'm browsing here, which is the settings, is now in pop-up view, right? And of course I can tap that app bar and then go back to full screen view, but I have that handle right there handy for me to go into those multi-window modes, which is great. The other one is swipe for pop-up view. Now this one, you swipe from the top right, and then that automatically brings the app into pop-up view. So if I swipe from there you go. Now it's in pop-up view, right? So just so many ways to launch these multi-window capabilities. Last one, swipe for split screen, right? Now this one is harder, right? Because you have to use 2 fingers and then swipe either from the side or bottom of the main screen or bottom of the cover screen. I'm going to swipe 2 fingers from the bottom. So now I can open Twitter app in the bottom. Great. So since you swiped up with your 2 fingers from the bottom, it automatically took the top and bottom as the orientation, right? Now if I do it from the side, let's see. There you go, it worked. Now you have the side-by-side view. More ways to launch your apps into multi-window mode. You can select, the good thing is you can select which one works for you and work with that. For me personally, I find the taskbar to be very, very useful. So I can just drag and drop apps to open in multi-window mode. And I also have other apps here that I can get access to from my taskbars. Many folks think the multitasking doesn't work on the cover screen, or they just assume that it doesn't work. That's not the case. You can still have 2 apps. It's an Android feature, right? Working with 2 apps on your cover screen as well. So you can do the same thing. You can swipe with your 2 fingers from the edges, from the bottom. You have 2 apps open now on the cover screen. So the cover screen does support it. Now how useful this is on the cover screen is a big question. I haven't used this feature on my cover screen just because it's just not ideal. It's very narrow and small. So I never gave a thought about this, but just for folks that do want to use this feature, the multitasking on the cover screen, you can do it. It's available. Next up is the flex mode and the cover view. The cover view works for the cover screen as its name suggests. So when you have your cover screen turned on, you can lay it down on a table and then just bring up your phone. So now you can use the phone hands-free. In fact, if I have my auto rotation on and have the home screen rotate in the home screen settings, right? Now I can basically browse my home screen and I don't have to have my phone on my hand. I can use it on my table. It's really good. This is the cover view that you get on your cover screen. Now you can watch movies and whatnot just by placing your phone on the desk or a table and use it hands-free. So if you do the same on the main screen, it becomes flex mode, and it offers more options because now you kind of have 2 screens, right? So if you place it this way, you have the top screen and the bottom screen. So every app can define its experience, and in places where the apps don't define this flex mode experience, Samsung provides an option to enable a common mode. So let me open the gallery app here, right? So here's my gallery app and I'm browsing my photo, and this is the full view when I'm using on the main screen. So now if I put my phone in flex mode, the top screen has the image from my gallery that I was browsing, and at the bottom I get a touchpad with all of the controls to edit this photo. And if I tap edit, you can see now the photos on the top screen and my controls are here in the bottom. And this is very cool. So now I can use it hands-free, keep my phone on a table. It's kind of using a computer, right? A mini computer. And same way, if you're browsing YouTube, you get the same experience. For example, if I tap on a video, you can actually have the video playing on the top screen and rest of the stuff, even the ad coming here along the the playing on the video coming up at the bottom, and all the comments and related videos coming here. So the flex mode has lots of good options if you are trying to use the phone hands-free, right? And for cases where, for example, Twitter app, right? Now you can see here, Twitter app doesn't have a flex mode setting. What I have done is I have enabled the flex mode setting for the Twitter app in the Z Fold 4. So that's why I get these new options at the bottom. Cool thing about this option is it has a touchpad. It has the cursor, and the touchpad works as a trackpad, and now I can basically tap and then use two fingers to scroll. It's just really nice. Like, when you're using it hands-free, I'm glad that I actually have an option for a trackpad. And of course, I can control my volume from here. I can control the brightness from here. I can also take a screenshot if I want to. So some cool options you get with the default setup for the flex mode on the Z Fold 4. Now, how do you configure this? It's really simple. Now, there are two ways. For example, here's the National Park app, and this app is not going to support flex mode, but when I do put the phone in flex mode, you will notice a flex mode icon, a transparent icon come up here. And if you're quick enough to tap that icon, which I'll show you in a moment, it'll take you directly to the flex mode settings. Here we go. Don't lose sight. It's going to appear somewhere here. So I'm going to put it, there you go. There's the button. And now I'm right here in my flex mode panel settings, where it takes me directly to that particular option for that app, NPS app. Now I can enable that for NPS app. I can open my NPS app again. And now when I put the NPS app back, you see the same option I got for Twitter is now available for the NPS app. I can enable my touchpad and I get the cursor. I can browse the app with the trackpad experience, which is a touchpad here, right? So that's how you can put an app in flex mode if it doesn't support. So if you want to configure the flex mode panel settings, you can go into the settings, you can go into advanced features, and you can go into labs, which is over here, and you have the flex mode panel. Here you can search for the app that you want to enable flex mode and then enable it. Full screen apps. This is a problem you will face with few apps that you download and use in your Z Fold 4 because of the screen ratio that the Z Fold 4 uses. And that is much bigger than normal phones. Apps like Amazon or Instagram have this problem. So let me show you what I mean. So here's my Amazon app, and see that it doesn't render full screen. Now, of course, Amazon has to fix this, but who knows when are they going to fix it. But you can force Samsung to render this app full screen even if the app doesn't support full screen, and mostly it works great. The way to do that, again, you have a shortcut and you have a settings under the settings app. Let's look at the shortcut first. So let me close the Amazon app and open the Amazon app again. When I open, you'll see a full screen button available here for a few seconds. Tap on that. That'll take you directly to that setting where you can change the way how Amazon app renders full screen. Here you can see it's rendering with the aspect ratio 4:3. You could select 16:9, but that's not going to help you. So what you need is to set it to full screen. Now if I go back to my Amazon app, it's rendering full screen. If you want to do this in the setting app, you go into settings and then go to display, and you have full screen apps. This is where you can see the option to what aspect ratio you want the apps to behave. Now you can see it also shows you a nice illustration around what full screen apps look like, what 16:9 apps look like, and what 4:3 apps look like. And if you actually open Instagram, it will actually be 16:9. So here you can come and configure the settings for every app, especially for the apps that don't render full screen, right? So that's the full screen apps configuration in your Z Fold 4. This is an app that I install on all of my Samsung devices. I find it very useful, right? The app is GoodLock. GoodLock gives you a lot of customizations that you can do, and for all of those customizations you do have to download other apps, but based on what you need, you can select those apps by browsing this one GoodLock app. And the app that I use regularly is the OneHandOperation Plus. So this app allows to create a target on your screen edge. Like here you can see the target area, which is painted in blue. And I get a left handle and a right handle. And for each of that left handle and right handle, I can configure swipe gestures, either diagonal down, diagonal up, or straight right. Now, with my swipe gestures, which I use for my navigation type, I also additionally use this one-hand operation gestures, which I find very useful, especially for a big device like this Z Fold 4. And what I do is I configure the diagonal down to quickly open Finder, so I can search for an app very quickly and open it. So I don't have to swipe up for my app library and then tap on the search. That's very time consuming and repetitive task. So this gesture configuration, diagonal down and opening up the Finder to automatically search for apps and files and whatnot, is very, very convenient for me, right? So to do that, you can go into OneHandOperation, select the left or right handle, and then here's the diagonal down. And here you have lots of shortcuts that you can choose, right? You can have back key, home key, and here I have set the Finder search. I can also have it to open edge panel or do the screen recording and so many other things. Show and hide navigation bar if I am using the buttons, right? And things like that. So diagonal up, I'll take a screenshot. Again, very handy. I don't have to mess with the buttons. Diagonal up and there's a screenshot. Straight right is back key. Really simple, right? And same for my right handle. I have diagonal down, again Finder search, so I can use both sides of my screen. Diagonal up is assistance app, and straight left is back key. Whether you use other apps or not with the GoodLock apps, one app I highly recommend is the OneHandOperation app, right? There are other great apps and customizations you can do. For example, ThemePark. ThemePark allows you to customize your home screen, the Samsung OneUI home screen, with custom wallpapers, custom color combinations for everything that you could see on a screen, including the edit panel, quick edit panel, the notification panel, and icons. For example, let me show you one of the themes I created here, which is called Sunrise. Now, if I go into my home screen, tap and hold, I'll get themes option. In there, if I go into my stuff, you will see I have the sunrise theme that I just showed you in the ThemePark app installed. So let me apply this theme. You will notice now, instead of the default Samsung icons, I have a very different icon pack applied. So here it is. These are all custom icon packs. And my theme here is sunrise, so I can configure all of my color settings to match that sunrise theme, right? And this is very useful now. I can configure several themes of my own and apply it across my Samsung devices. And it works in all of the Samsung devices, which is neat. I can actually use it in my S22 Ultra and whatnot. But this is a customization that I enjoy, right? Not necessarily I find it very useful, but I find it very exciting to work with. And that's the beauty of the Android ecosystem that gives you those options. And it's great that we have the GoodLock app and the ThemePark app providing us those options. Now, I would highly recommend you to go browse other apps and see if they are useful so that you can actually use it. Like there's a Pentastic app. I don't use it. I didn't find it very useful, but you can try to do that and customize some of the S Pen settings. There is lock screen customization app. There's also a Samsung keyboard customization app with really some funky animations and color schemes, which I think you should try it out if you haven't. So those are some great additions to your Z Fold 4. So those were some of the useful features in your Z Fold 4 that you can use to get the most out of your Z Fold 4 software experience. Samsung has given a lot of features for us to make this folding device and customize the way how we use apps on this device very unique to this experience. That's the beauty of these folding devices. They're just not hardware that folds and unfolds, but combined with the software that you get with Samsung, it really pushes the boundaries in what you can expect from a smartphone and what you can do with these new form factors. I hope you enjoyed my video showcasing some of the unique features of the Z Fold 4. Until next time, bye.